We were promised that if we worked hard and followed the rules, life would be good. But here we are, an entire generation fighting to stay afloat in a world that moves faster every time we blink. The scariest part is that it might only get worse from here. AI is speeding everything up. The cost of living keeps climbing, and social media keeps whispering that you'll never be enough, no matter how hard you work. If you were born between the mid-90s and mid-2000s, you've already lived through more chaos before 25 than most generations did in their entire lives. Remember when boredom meant staring out the window or like doodling in class? Now, we can't even wait at a red light without checking our phones for that next hit of pleasure. We watch life go from chunky flip phones to feeds that know us better than our own parents. And now, AI is about to flip everything upside down, faster and harder than anything we've seen. But I'm not just a grump, I'm gonna give you actionable solutions in every single section so that you can work on making a life that's better for you. Also, shout out to Wylearn, because I got this video idea from him. Our parents didn't really know how to help us through this. They grew up in a world where you could work one job forever, where a college degree almost guaranteed stability, where you could plan for the future without the ground shifting every 6 months. We're the first generation raised inside an algorithm. We're basically the guinea pigs of a hyper-speed society, so it's really no wonder so many of us feel lost. It's kind of like we're sprinting on a treadmill that just speeds up the moment we think that we finally caught up. And if you don't see how this constant change has rewired your brain, you might spend your life blaming yourself for feeling stuck, when really the system was designed to keep you overwhelmed. So what you can do to solve this right now is choose one offline ritual you can repeat every day, even for just like 5 minutes. Something like going for a morning walk or writing down a single thought. It's small, but it starts training your brain to feel stability in a world that wants you confused. And even if you somehow start finding your footing, there's a silent enemy waiting to drain every ounce of hope the second you check your bank account, and that is the crushing cost of living. We were told that if we just studied hard, went to college, and got a good job, we'd be set for life. That was the promise, but by the time we graduated, the world had changed, and no one bothered to warn us. I remember looking at the soaring house prices through the pandemic in 2020 and feeling like Zillow was playing a joke. Prices spiked so fast that it made everyone's head spin. Groceries and gas feel like they double every year, and it's like every paycheck just gets spawn killed before you even get a chance to breathe. Meanwhile, wages haven't kept up at all. Our parents could support a family on just one income. Now, 2 people working full-time can barely afford rent in a lot of cities, let alone dream about owning a home. And it's not just the numbers on a spreadsheet, it's what it does to your mind. The longer you watch your money disappear, the more it eats away at your hope. You start thinking maybe you're just lazy, maybe you're the problem, because no matter how many side hustles you pick up, it never feels like enough. But here's the truth, you aren't broken. The game you were told to play is not the same as it once was. So here's how you can push back. Focus on building a skill that increases your earning power outside your 9 to 5, like different freelance things, coding, high demand sales, or how to make YouTube videos like this. You can't control how fast costs rise, but you can control how valuable you become in the marketplace. And even if you do everything right with your money, there's a new threat quietly coming for your future, one that could make everything you've worked for completely useless, which takes us to section 3, AI, unemployment, and the future that will break us. It's not just the price of rent or groceries keeping us stuck, it's the terrifying reality that the jobs we're fighting so hard for might not even exist in a few years. They told us a college degree was the golden ticket, that if we just followed the plan, we'd have jobs waiting for us. But now, you graduate with 5 figures of student debt and get ghosted by companies demanding 3 years of experience for entry-level roles. One of my friends even sent me a picture of one company saying you need 10 years of experience for this entry-level job. Like, that was just insane. And I have other friends who've spent over a year applying for computer science jobs after graduation. Hundreds of applications and countless rejection emails. There's even like companies that they didn't even apply to sending them rejection emails just so they can join in on the fun. And one of them has finally given up recently and started to enroll in a master's degree so he could have a better chance. Meanwhile, AI is moving so fast that most people can't even process what's coming. If you think AI won't replace a massive chunk of us in the next 10 years, I have bad news for you. AI will fundamentally change how we live by 2035 at the absolute latest. I'll be honest, I love AI. GPT-3 basically got me my bachelor's degree. GPT-4 is helping me get my master's degree. GPT-5, I hope, can make me like a billionaire, and maybe GPT-6 at that point can just become my wife or something. But let's be real, as powerful as AI is, it's gonna make us weaker. The more we depend on it, the dumber we'll get. And like it or not, everybody will start leaning on AI for everything, until we're too numb or too lazy to think for ourselves. And a side note, if you don't think that you're gonna start using a whole lot of AI in the future, just go back like 30-40 years and see what people were saying about computers. So here's how to stay ahead. For now, treat AI like a tool and not necessarily a crutch. Learn to use it to amplify your skills instead of replacing your own critical thinking. Because the people who master AI will control a lot of things in the future, while the ones who ignore it or let it take over their entire brain will just get left behind completely. But even if you beat the odds and land a job, what good is it if your relationships feel hollow? Kind of like you're stuck in a cycle of shallow connections that never go anywhere. And that's the topic of section 4, which is meaningless relationships and hookup culture. What's the point of fighting for a stable future if every relationship feels like a transaction? We live in a world where swiping replaced real conversations, where ghosting someone is easier than saying what you actually feel, where everyone's convinced that having unlimited options means that we're winning, but the more we swipe, the emptier we feel. There are so many people who just scroll through Tinder and different apps, kind of like they're games, and talking with people that they don't really care about, just trying to fill the silence. But every time the conversation fizzles, it makes their loneliness feel even heavier. Hookup culture teaches us to chase the next hit of validation instead of building something real. So people end up in situationships and texting people that they don't even really like, scrolling TikToks about red flags instead of learning to communicate like adults. And the longer you stay in that loop, the more you believe deep connections don't really exist. And the more you think that everyone's just using each other to feel something, just enough to fill the void for a night before moving on. No wonder so many people feel alone, even when they're never physically alone. Because being surrounded by people doesn't mean you're truly seen. And here's how to break that cycle. Shift your focus from chasing matches to building shared experiences. Invest in hobbies, community events, or faith-based groups where values align, because deep connections grow from time spent together, not endless swipes. And if shallow relationships don't leave you feeling empty, there's an even quieter addiction hijacking your brain, your motivation, and your self-worth, which is number 5, corn addiction, aka the P word, and weak masculinity. If meaningless relationships don't break you, easy dopamine will. And from here, I'm gonna refer to the P word as corn, so corn is everywhere. It's free, instant, and more extreme than anything humans were ever meant to see. Every time you hit play, it rewires your brain, tricking you into thinking you've earned something you didn't work for. A lot of people know what it's like to promise themselves that they'll stop, only to find themselves opening a tab again after a stressful day, telling themselves, I'll just do it this once and then I'll stop again. It's a shortcut to pleasure that trains you to expect rewards without effort. It drains your drive to chase real goals. And for guys, it creates unrealistic expectations that destroy their future lives. So they either end up avoiding relationships altogether or sabotage the ones they finally find. So they start feeling like a spectator in their own life, watching fantasies on a screen instead of building anything real. And the worst part, the more you use it, the weaker you feel, mentally, emotionally, and even physically. It's a silent addiction that turns strong, ambitious men into passive, numb shells of who they could be. And here's how to escape that trap. I've already made another video about it if you want to watch that, but for now, every time you feel the urge, do something that engages your body. cold showers, hitting the gym, or even walking outside. It interrupts the loop and retrains your brain to seek real accomplishment over fake dopamine. So now section 6, which is why nothing ever feels like enough. Even if you ditch every bad habit and start chasing real goals, why does it feel like nothing is ever enough? Our generation has higher rates of depression, anxiety, and chronic dissatisfaction than any before us. We're doing so many different things, moving faster, and sometimes even achieving more, but it never feels like we're actually getting anywhere. It's like running on a treadmill that speeds up every time you... Oh wait, I already used that one. But yeah, that example applies here too. No matter how much you earn, how many followers you gain, or how many milestones you hit, there's always someone doing more, having more, showing more. And that constant comparison robs you of any chance to feel proud of how far you've come. I've felt it myself. You finish a big project only to feel empty a few minutes later because someone else posted a win that made mine feel small. So you wake up every day with a nagging sense of inadequacy, wondering why nothing makes you feel satisfied. Why every victory is fleeting and every setback feels permanent. So here's how to start feeling like you're enough. Set micro goals only you can measure, like reading a page daily or cooking a new recipe each week. Just random things, those are just off the top of my head. Track your wins somewhere you can see them, because progress only feels real when you remind yourself how far you've actually come. But what if the key isn't running faster, but stepping off the treadmill entirely? And finally learning to quiet the noise that keeps you stuck comparing and exhausted. Which brings us to section 7, information overload and comparison culture. Even if you step off the treadmill, the noise never stops. Our brains weren't built for 24/7 updates, endless notifications, or highlight reels from millions of strangers. We scroll through TikToks of people richer, fitter, and happier than we've ever been, and start believing we are the only ones struggling. Every swipe feeds that quiet voice whispering saying you're behind, like everyone else got the cheat codes for life except you. I've lost entire mornings spiraling on social feeds telling myself I'd only scroll for 5 minutes, only to realize I'd wasted an hour comparing my worst moments to someone else's best. That's a whole theme of this channel, about how I escaped thoughts like that, and now I'm trying to help people out. Which is why I wrote a 12-step productivity ebook. It's completely free, and it might be the thing that changes your life. It'll be the first link in the description, and I highly recommend you check it out. But to all that, just add climate anxiety, culture wars, and shifting identity landscapes. And it's like your mind never gets a second to rest. You're overwhelmed before you even get out of bed, and when you're constantly overstimulated, it's impossible to hear your own thoughts, let alone figure out what you actually want. It's like trying to build a compass in a hurricane. No wonder why so many of us feel lost. So here's how to quiet that storm. Yeah, see what I did there? Delete one social app from your phone for 7 days. Just one. Use that space to reflect or spend some time offline. You'll be surprised how much clearer your mind becomes when you create even a little silence. So how do you find your direction when everything around you is designed to keep you confused, comparing, and exhausted? Well, the answer is right here in section 8. The pitfall of quick fixes. Even when you start figuring things out, there's one trap that can snap you right back to square one. The promise of instant results. Everywhere you look, someone's selling shortcuts. Make 10K a month in 30 days, fix your life overnight, hack your brain in 5 minutes. And it's tempting, because when you're desperate for progress, anyone offering a magic solution feels like hope. I've fallen for these a lot too, buying courses or apps that I thought would solve everything overnight, only to feel more defeated when they don't work. But chasing quick fixes only makes you feel more broken when they fail, because you blame yourself for not being disciplined enough, smart enough, or lucky enough. The truth is that real change comes from boring, consistent work, from systems that keep you moving on days you don't feel like it, from habits that compound over months, not flashy tricks that fade in just days. Shortcuts keep you trapped in a loop of false hope that drains your time, your money, and your belief in yourself. So here is how to avoid the trap. Pick one habit so small it almost feels silly, like drinking a full glass of water every morning. Do it every day for 30 days. Build trust with yourself by proving you can stay consistent before chasing bigger goals. If you're ready to break the cycle starting today, make sure to download the free productivity ebook that I made for you. It's linked below and packed with small, powerful steps to make you reclaim your time before it's too late. If shortcuts keep you stuck, the biggest cost isn't wasted time or money. It's waking up years later wondering if you ever actually lived. We spend so much energy fighting to stay afloat, chasing quick wins, side hustles, or promotions that never bring peace. And the entire time, life quietly slips through our fingers. But here's what most people never realize until it's too late. You can get everything you thought you wanted, yet still end up with a life that feels painfully empty. Because the real heartbreak isn't missing opportunities, it's missing the moments that make you feel alive. And if you don't see how this chase steals your days, you can spend your whole life working harder, only to regret what you didn't give yourself permission to enjoy. That's why my last video breaks down exactly why so many people die with regret about money, and how you can make sure you don't become one of them. You can watch that right now, because the difference between living and just surviving often comes down to seeing this truth before it's too late.